live from the Coachella Valley. Time for another hour of the desert scene. Art exhibitions to modernism, music festivals to live theater, big screen, little screen, and very little screen. This is the Culture Corner with Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza. Here's Bonnie and Bryant on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome to this hour of the Culture Corner. We have special guest star Michelle Ogle, a therapist. This is her third time on the show.
She is a star.
We should call her special guest star almost at this point, but it's wonderful to have you on.
Yeah. So, Michelle, talk to us about COVID fatigue. I mean, I know we're all feeling it. It's been almost a year now. How do we deal with it? The election's over. I mean, people are still feeling a lot of angst. How do we handle this?
Yeah, Bonnie, thank you so much for having me on again. Are we done yet? I mean, I'm so done. I know everybody is so done with COVID, but it is. So I don't know if you've heard the word. I'm calling it COVID fatigue. I think, in the beginning, we all held our breath and we thought, like, this is going to be over, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't expect it to last this long. And I think we were all really bummed. We got kind of fun, right? We did those indoor obstacle courses, and we all found funny ways to connect with each other, and all the comics hit the deck, and it's really fun to laugh. And then all of a sudden it was like, wow, this is real.
Yeah.
This is lasting, And now what? And then we kind of were told, you gotta keep holding your breath and don't let go yet, And so I think there's this real unease of people pretty frustrated, right? Wouldn't you be? I don't have a problem filling private time. I feel like I always have something I can do. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes I don't feel the impact, but some people are like, no, my whole world is outside and doing and going. And I think those people are hitting a wall. So we're tired. Aren't you tired?
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Sure, it's impacting you.
Yeah.
Right. And so now, and then we geared up to the election, right? We all had something to talk about. And I always think of it as this big buzz that pulled us together. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't a buzz that was healthy, and it wasn't a buzz that had a sustainable cause.
No.
And so I think when it was done, we were all like, oh, okay, well, that's over.
Yeah.
And then it kind of settled for a while. So people pulled back again. Mm-hmm. And so I really think just this isolation is really breaking people down because, humans are really connected. We're a belonging source.
Yeah.
If you watch the Discovery show, the polar bears, all those guys, they kick out their babies at like 6 months, like, see ya, and we're like hanger-oners, right? We have like 18 years.
Yeah.
So we're really connected with our people. And
right.
I think we don't do well when we don't have our people.
Let's talk about one of the things you mentioned to me beforehand is this whole concept of being free, the price of freedom, and how we've lost that with this lockdown. Yeah.
I think we start, second guessing and start reevaluating what kind of freedom we had before and what that looks like, what we want it to look like. Is that what we want it to look like? Did we like what it looked like? And I think it's a reevaluation time, but I think there's a double-edged sword because I think some people, I grew up, my mom always said, you want what you want when you want it. You kids always want what you want when you want it. And so I have this in my brain, and sometimes I feel like the youth are really impulsive. They just want to go play, right? They're turning 21, they're turning 18, they want to drive.
Yeah.
And I think that's a kind of a bummer for them. Mm-hmm. But I think we want our freedom. And so some people say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go out and eat and do what I want. And some people think, the price of freedom is really high and they're going to stay home and value the freedom that they have, not getting sick. And, so... Boy, it's a real toss, right? But we're not free. We're a nation that likes to be in control, and we're not free. And so I think that's pushing a lot of people. There's anger too. I think if somebody's angry and doesn't get rid of it, it always festers. And then when somebody else gets angry, they're like, yeah, me too.
And then it becomes this mob mentality. Yeah.
Right. And it's a place to be distressed, right? We don't have a valid place. We're a decent humanity. We don't have a place we get to go be angry. Right? And if we don't know how to deal with that, if we don't know how to deal with our anger and our frustration, we look for other people to be angry and frustrated with. But we're belonging, right? It's a pack mentality.
Someone to blame. And some of it's generational, right? Because older folks are a little more concerned about the virus than some of these 20-year-olds. I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm going to go. They don't care. And I think some of it's generational.
Yeah. You know, Bonnie, I don't get it. I'm 54. I'm on the fence of, I want to go play, but heck no.
Yeah.
And I don't know what people's level of fear are. When you're younger, I wish I could give a little snapshot to myself, because I'm sure I was like, nothing's ever going to happen to me.
Right.
And now you can break bones and get sick, and you start thinking about that, put a value on that one too. And so I think that's a big piece of it.
I wanted to ask Brian.
But
because you're in your 20s, right?
Yeah,
What's your feel about that?
I actually had a perspective. I would say that there is generational gaps, but I also feel like it's a little bit more complex than like older versus younger. I think there's also
totally
like the boomer generation is a little bit more, Generation X and the boomer generation. I think they have mixed feelings about the whole thing. Like a lot of them, I've seen way more footage of people in their 40s and 50s creating problems for like going out about, but they're also creating problems for Walmart workers.
I agree.
And a lot of younger people, of course they're going to have, I feel like in a lot of ways when it comes to like masks and COVID procedures, they're very much like, I don't trust the man with my health. And it's like, but who is the man in this case?
Who is the man?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
right.
And when you have to tell them like, hey, a lot of them get it. Like a lot of young people do get it. And sometimes there's this sort of joke in my circle of, I think this time we have to tell our parents to not go outside and not do anything.
Hey, mom and dad, stay home. Stay healthy. Yeah.
Right.
There used to be this joke of, hey, come over, my parents aren't home. And the person comes over. Now it's, hey, come over, my parents aren't home. But they should be.
Yeah. And let's talk about what can we do now? What can we do now if you're feeling frustrated and bored and isolated and confined and all that stuff? What are some of the things that we can do to take care of ourselves in the middle of this?
You know what? I think radical change, radical acceptance, radical change, I think sometimes it's good to shake things up. It's a great word, isn't it? It's being radical. It means doing the opposite of what your instinct is. You want to do the exact opposite. If your inclination is to stay home, but then you're lonely and you find yourself complaining and wishing you had something different, then challenge yourself to do the radical opposite, to go out and be something you're not. And then when I say go out, I don't mean go out. Sorry, we're in a COVID world. I have to think about my words. But go out online, let's say. There's safe places to connect with people. There's a lot of Zoom meetings happening. And I think that even myself, I'll tell you a quick funny. When this all first went down in March, I think it was about a couple months later, and I called my mom and I said, I really miss you. I was supposed to visit you. I need to Zoom with you. And she said, I'm not going to look right. My hair's not done. And I said, when I come visit and you get up in the morning and get coffee, your hair's
not
everywhere.
done.
You have no makeup on. Like, newsflash, there's nothing different. And we got online, and I got teary because I was even surprised how awesome it was to see her face. And all of a sudden, the screen went away. It was my mom sitting there in front of me. And we talked for 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think you need to challenge yourself. And my mom was like, wow, why didn't we do this sooner? Right? And so I think we need to challenge ourselves to Zoom, to reach out. Everything we're doing is being redefined. Your presentation, your meetings, Zoom is kind of how it is, right? Yeah. And so I think you have to challenge yourself to be verbal. If you're shy and you wish you were more verbal so you could be more overt, ask your buddy, like, how are you so outgoing all the time? What can I do without looking like a dork that would help me be more social? Therapy. A lot of people think therapy is just for whining and complaining about your problems and learning, about themselves. It's not. It's how to learn skills, how to communicate. How do I talk to somebody, that I'm really shy about, and I could just stand next to them before, but now I actually want to have a conversation because we're all at home. Yeah. And so I think it's challenging yourself a little bit. I'm kind of a silver lining girl. I do not think like a Pollyanna, but I think there's good in bad situations because I think you can either fall down a rabbit hole and get stuck. There's transitions of trauma. Right? So first we stabilize. We want stability. This is trauma. Let's not kid each other. The word like new normal drives me absolutely nuts. It's overused. This is not normal. This is not normal.
Yeah.
So we are in transition. Special report. The news is always the special report.
Yeah.
So what's special? And so I think we have to redefine a couple of things. So first, we want stability. Do we feel safe? Do we feel like we're taking precautions to keep our health safe? We got to process through some of that yucky grief that we're feeling, the COVID fatigue and being lonely and being frustrated and angry. Things that, this is where people like start overeating, addictive behaviors, a lot of anxiety, confusion, depression. I mean, it's a basket full. And so if you don't want to be stuck there, we have to dig ourselves out. We really do. We have to get the shovel and go, okay, I need to make some effort here and challenge ourselves to do something different, because I don't think this is ending very soon. I'm not, a forsayer. I can't predict the future, but I'm telling you that this is still kind of scary.
Yeah.
And we're getting vaccines, but it's scary. I think when are we not going to be able to go out and wear a mask? And so there are some things we need to accept.
All right, Brian had something. Let me get Brian in here real quick.
I wanted to
Brian, go.
I gotta say I agree with everything you've said, because this year during the beginning of the pandemic, last year, it feels like yesterday that it started to me to some extent. A long yesterday, a very long.
Sometimes
yesterday.
5 years, but yeah.
long yesterday. Yeah, right.
I was gonna say for me, I was in the beginning of the pandemic just. You know what? I lost my other job. I'm going to just watch television all the time. I was watching Dark Shadows, which is a great show. It makes you feel good.
Love that show. Yeah.
But after a while, I felt I have to go back to school. I got to finish this degree. I really do. Mm-hmm. So when I went back to school, I noticed that I got straight A's, and the last semester I was there, I got a C or a B and an A. And then I was like, you know what? With these Zoom meetings, I'm going to take a shower and go to class, and big difference. I was happy, focused. Yeah. And the best thing about it too was that I became the most talkative person in the class, and I loved it. I mean, I've always talked a lot in class.
Hey, Brian, why? Tell me really quick. Tell me that.
Why did that happen?
Talkative.
Yeah, why?
On Zoom.
Just I feel like for me, it's kind of I guess to some extent, I would like to say that it feels like there's sort of this protection barrier with the computer.
You feel safer behind the screen.
A little bit. Yeah. And in person, sometimes I feel like I have to, if I talk a lot in class, it would be during a presentation, and I would put on a show and grab things and almost do theater-esque. But right there, I don't have that. So I have to be talkative in other ways, and I have to feel myself.
Michelle, let's get your website in, because we're running out of time. What's your website?
Oh, it's my full name, Michelle Ogle, MST.com. Yeah, actually, I wanted to tell you there's a section on there going up called Trending Topics. Bonnie is going to be listing these spots with you, so people can re-listen if they didn't get to.
Perfect.
And as far as some other commentary and stuff, yeah.
All right, we're going to have you back, because we could do this for 2 hours. There's so much to say. Thank you so much, Michelle. You always help us and lift us up with this.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for chiming in. You have some really good thoughts.
All right, we're going to have you back. We're definitely going to have you back. Thank you so much, Michelle Ogle, wonderful advice therapist. All right, we're going to be back with more.
Happy Friday, y'all.
Okay, you too. Culture Corner, just a bit.
The curtain rises on local and regional arts and entertainment. From music to theater, films to fine art, it's the Culture Corner. Get connected. Call 760-544-TALK. That's 760-544-8255. Here's Bonnie and Brian on iHub Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. We have some news going on, and as always, it's a mix of not only fun news, but a lot of
serious stuff,
serious topics. So this is going to be both it's more of introspective one.
Okay.
So Let's talk first about Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen launching a podcast.
I think that's
on Spotify.
so cool. I think it's fabulous.
So it's no secret that Barack Obama, the Obamas in general, have tried to reach out into different venues. Like Michelle Obama's going to have a Netflix TV show.
The cooking food thing, yeah.
Show. And the thing is that Bruce Springsteen and Barack Obama will talk about racism, Clarence Clemens, protest music, and they're going to have this new podcast on Spotify. So if anybody's interested, I think it's called Renegades Born in America. Born in the USA. And I'm going to have the date here for just a moment. But what do you think about that?
I think it's great. And I heard the one little story I heard from that is in one of them that they were talking about racism and that Barack Obama mentioned that in, I don't know, it was high school or college, I forget. Somebody in the locker room, another guy, called him the N-word and he broke his nose. He punched him in the nose. And I think that's great. I think it's great.
You know, there are moments like that when you talk to someone like Barack Obama where it's kind of like, that happened, but because he's so, like...
He's no drama Obama. He's very calm. But you know what? There comes a point, and of course, but when you're in high school or college, things are a little bit different.
That's fair.
But there comes a line. There has to be a line drawn, you know.
I was going to say that the thing with me is that I think that they're both, like, really cool, like... icons on the same political spectrum. I think that one thing people underestimate about Bruce Springsteen is that he is a very popular liberal icon because his song Born in the USA is critical of like blind patriotism. And one of the things that people forget is like the fact that even though Ronald Reagan used it, it was sort of ironic because he didn't actually agree with him. And so I would say that they're a pretty good team. And some people have criticism about it, like, oh, you know, are they the right group to talk about the issues today? Or do the Obamas and the Springsteens of the world have anything to contribute? Which I get. There's always like this feeling of,
of course. Why? Because they're not 25? Because they're not 30? Is that why?
That's what I think the idea is.
That's absurd. Yeah.
And I think that the idea is that everyone in some political spectrum on the left will have something to say. And I think that I can't find necessarily the date for it, but they did announce that they will start putting
That's okay. We'll come up with it. Let's talk about Tiger Woods for a moment briefly. He's okay. He's going to be okay.
He's going to be fine.
He had that a single car accident where I guess he was speeding and he hit the median, hit a tree and rolled several times, and they had to get him out with the jaws of life. Really messed up his leg, broke his leg, and I think his ankle. And I guess there's some question about if it's going to affect his golf game. But he's okay. And he's going to walk again. So, you know, there's some controversy and there's some stuff that people said they saw him right as he got in the car and he looked agitated and irritated. Maybe he's late for something, but who knows? But at least he's okay.
At least he's okay. And you know what? Car accidents, you know, they happen and it's unfortunate. And I hope that he does well. And, you know, speaking about accidents, there is some issue with Meek Mill. Now, Meek Mill is this rapper, right? So for those of you who don't know, so there's a good chance some people in our audience won't know.
I didn't know, so okay.
That's all right. Vanessa Bryant is Kobe Bryant's wife. Right. And as everybody knows, Kobe Bryant died a year ago in a... Well, now
so sad. It was before COVID, so I think it was more than a year. I think it was January.
Yeah. It was a helicopter accident, and funny.
And his daughter was killed too.
And it's horrible. What a horrible event.
Sad.
You know, like, and you know, Kobe Bryant's always been a inspiration for a lot of people. I mean, there's always going to be some like mixed feelings about his legacy here and there, but I think that he became an icon for a lot of black youth, and including Meek Mill. Meek Mill's said he put out this song lyric, right? Yeah, if I ever lack, I'm going out with my chopper. It be another Kobe. Basically, essentially, that if he ever makes it, that's
bad taste.
It's bad taste. And Vanessa Bryant put out an Instagram post saying that she found it to be extremely insensitive and disrespectful. And she said, "I'm not familiar with any of your music, but I believe you can do better than this. If you're a fan, fine. There's a better way to show your love of Kobe than to kind of throw in his death as a sign of wealth." And the fact is,
absolutely,
he died in a helicopter, but it doesn't mean that it's not a symbol of his wealth. It's a symbol of a tragedy when he lost his daughter and himself.
That was big. I don't blame her.
And Meek Mill has said in a Twitter post that he did apologize to her, and he said that he said pretty much that he apologized to her in private earlier and not to be in public. And they said that he does not want to focus too much of he understands that she's grieving still, and he feels that it was like a private matter, but he did apologize to her in private. And I feel like in some cases, like, it's a good thing he apologized as soon as he did. But I also feel like a lot of times you gotta be careful about referencing stuff like that, because I feel like Kobe Bryant's death shocked the world.
Yeah, it really did.
And it really did touch the nerve of a lot of people. Now, like, you know, even on Facebook, I made a post a long time ago, which I've regret ever since. And it got a lot of people hurt. And so I've always apologized for that. And, you know, the thing about Kobe Bryant is that he had a legacy, and he really did matter a lot to a lot of black youth. And, you know, Meek Mill, if he's a fan, I think, I'm not going to say he's not a fan, but I think that in order to be a better fan is to respect the legacy of someone without bringing up their tragedies. Yeah,
that's not for your own purposes, for his own lyrics, for him a song to make money. I mean, that's
precisely.
No, that wasn't good. No. All right, we're gonna have more news, and we're gonna come back. When we come back, Anita Rose, the fabulous Anita Rose, is gonna come on and tell. She's doing a whole bunch of stuff around town. All right, we'll be back with more on the Culture Corner in just a bit.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Live from the desert cities of Southern California, here's Brayan and Bonnie.
And we are back in the Culture Corner, and we're really pleased to welcome back once again. She's been a guest before. It's Anita Rose. I love the description on her Facebook page: sugar, spice, and nothing nice. That's fabulous. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, love?
Good. So you got all kinds of stuff going on. I know, everybody's still being safe, but things are opening up a little bit with distance. I know you're doing it's the 3rd year anniversary of your Bitchiest Brunch. So tell us about that, and all. You're really starting to get pretty active again. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I totally didn't even think that we would even be opening up entertainment until like June, when it's hot outside. But thank God we're finally open. We're doing things again. We were kind of open and closed during the lockdown, reopen. But our 3rd year anniversary of the Bitchiest Brunch that I've been hosting, I'm the only original cast member left. And I've been hosting it not ever since there was a previous hostess, but so now we're doing it. The 3rd year anniversary is this Sunday. We have 2 show times because trying to get as many people to sit and enjoy. But we're doing it all socially distanced tables. Everybody's 6 feet apart, no more than 4 to 6 people at a table. The performances are up on the balcony. That way they're nowhere near close to the people. I know it's not as fun that way, but trying to make sure that everybody it's the safest show to watch in town.
And this is at Oscars, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and so tell us, give people a little, if they've never been there, don't know much about you, don't know much about the brunch or Oscars, give them a sort of a feel for what the show's like.
So I'm going to try to keep it as Christian as possible. Because the Bitchiest Brunch really is, it's probably one of the sassiest. I mean, you can go to another brunch and they can say, oh, we are bitchy too, but no other brunch can say we are the Bitchiest Brunch.
Okay.
I am just a turd on that microphone. Like, even in my profile, like you just said, sugar, spice, and nothing nice. I guarantee you somebody will everybody gets picked on.
Okay.
Every single person. Nobody's out of the loop. I go in hard on bachelorettes. They're like, oh my gosh, how long have you been together? 5 years? They're like, or they'll say 5 years. I'm like, oh, you're so stupid. You didn't even get to know him first?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then like they'll show me the ring and I'm like, oh, it's cheap. Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. And whenever it's somebody's birthday, I'm like, hi, what's your name? They're like, Richard. I'm like, cool, Gregory. Where are you from? They're like, Rancho Mirage. I'm like, sorry? They're like, Rancho Mirage. I'm like, no, I'm just sorry you're from Rancho Mirage. Like, it's just entire sass from beginning to end.
Yeah. And now, do you have a lot of costume changes? And how many people are part of the show?
Well, for the anniversary show, we like to go out all full out, and we like to invite more people to the show. Normally in the show, there's about 5-ish people, including myself. We're actually scaling down the cast. We're taking one person out because right now what we're doing is there's a pink envelope on everybody's table, and we're pooling the tips together. That way we're not individually going out and grabbing the tips by hand. Just trying to make it more secure. So we're actually removing a cast member, so it's going to be about 4 plus me. And between each performer, I come out in a different outfit.
Okay.
So it is a lot of costume changing. So everybody does their 2 numbers, plus I come out like 10 times in a different costume.
Okay. And now, is everybody singing live, or is it lip syncing? Do you use tracks? Or tell us about the musical part.
We do have one person who does like to sing live for both of his numbers. I don't know why, but he likes to sing live during his numbers. I will sing live every once in a while. I love singing live, but I'm just a little too chicken to do it in front of an audience. But we do have some people who lip sync to tracks. We do have some people who do special performances with fire. I mean, it's all kinds of crazy. This year we've decided that we're going to change a lot. So you never know. You might get everyone singing live one day, show tunes. One day you might get everybody singing live Broadway or all lip sync. You never know.
Now, I have heard you sing at Stacy's, and you can sing. Why would you be nervous?
You know, it's one of those things where I had a turd of a boyfriend in the past, and then another boyfriend came along and messed it up. So it's actually this boyfriend that I have now, whose drag name is Anorexia, actually got me back into singing and doing musical theater. So I love doing it, but my nerves get back in and I chicken out last minute.
Okay. Well, you know what? Then it's nothing worth. I have a really supportive partner, Eric, for 10 plus years, but I've been in some relationships and marriages where the partner was very critical of talent, and that can really mess you up for a while. It really can if you got somebody telling you, nah, you know. So tell me, and by the way, is Stacy's going to come back, or is Stacy's gone forever? Do we know?
I believe that they are back. I no longer work for them.
Okay.
I believe that they will not be doing any kind of live entertainment anytime soon, especially because they don't have the space for it. But I believe that they're still open.
Okay. And tell me, I love to ask this question because it's been, you've been on before. It's been a little while. What makes a great drag performance for you? If you go see somebody else, what makes a really great drag performance?
I think going to watch a great drag performance, I want to see professionalism. I want to see that they're following their lip sync all the way through instead of like dropping off the last word or the last consonant of whatever the lyric is. I like to see that they're feeling it instead of just standing there looking like a goldfish and mouthing the word. I've seen it. It is horrible when they just kind of stand there, go blah blah blah. Like it's.
Yeah.
I just want to see more than just the general drag. I want to see that you're feeling something. I want to see that you're doing something. I want to see you're having fun. Because it's very. I mean, drag queens are now a dime a dozen. Every year when high school graduates, there's another flock that comes through, or they start even sooner.
Yeah.
So I want to see something that makes. I want to see. I like to describe it as there's two different. Anybody can be a drag queen, but not everybody can be an entertainer. I want to see what makes that person an entertainer.
Great answer. Brian has a question for you.
I was going to say that over the long history of drag has always had this like evolution when it comes to like diversity and inclusivity. And I feel like we're at this point where it's a question of how can we make it more inclusive and diverse again? Because in the beginning, a lot of people got into drag as a way to express themselves, and a lot of trans folks did drag because in the 60s, that was the only way some people could actually dress up and perform the gender that they had. So I wanted to ask you, as a drag artist yourself, what are some things that you feel like other drag queens and yourself can do to make drag inclusive and feature more diversity? Because like RuPaul's Drag Race has had its own criticisms about that too. And, I know it's not the only thing in the world, but it's the most mainstream thing. So I wanted to know, in your own way, or in your own way, how would you fight for inclusivity in the drag community, or do you feel like it's already done?
Good question. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I do feel like there is a lot of diversity, especially like if you go from one bar to the next. Like even with just live entertainment, like one bar would like more of this versus, because I know at Stacey's he didn't want like the crooning music. He wanted stuff that was more not necessarily the top 40s, but he just didn't want crooning music. He didn't want like the Great American Songbook. So I feel like there's bars that do that and are available to do that. So like for Oscars, he wants more of like showgirl-ish stuff. Well, he just wants stuff that's more polished. He wants a production.
Yeah.
Versus if you go like down the street to a different brunch, it's going to be something completely different. Like at ours, where we require them to have their nails, earrings, cinchers on, versus you go down the street and it's a completely different story. But also there's bars like the Bullet Bar that like the diversity also. Like, so for Oscars, we have no problem having a drag king that would be something different, or someone from Dragula that would be something different, as long as like them coming in, they would have their look and outfit and everything polished. I just think like also you can go to, because I know that sometimes I feel like a lot of queens that describe themselves as trash queens or alternative queens feel like, oh, we can only go to dive bars or like leather bars. I've seen them also at regular straight bars having shows. I think it's also up to the queens that are not like the top whatever to also step forward. Like that's how Dragula is. Dragula's helped step the alternative drag scene into more mainstream, so that way it's more acceptable. I also think that, so I feel like as far as being like alternative, because I know I do some alternative stuff in my shows, not a lot, but I know that I do it. I also think that it's a two-way street. It also has to be the queen stepping forward saying, look, we have this show, let's do it. And then the bars, for the bar perspective, it's how is this going to bring me in money? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be about and will always be about. So I think if an alternative show comes in and goes, look, we want to do this, here's how we're going to do it. That's how I did my shows. Like at Chill, they had, which is totally not an alternative bar, but they had a night where it was Dragula and all alternative numbers, and it went great. So I think it's kind of a two-way street. It's you have to put the package together, sell it, and then the bar will take it, no matter what.
Yeah. And real quick, is there anything that's? I know the Bitchy Brunch it's supposed to be kind of outrageous and push the envelope. Is there anything that's sort of across the line for a drag performer? Are there sort of rules and parameters you have to stay within?
As far as what?
As far as the show. As far as, how far can you push things to be outrageous? I guess is the question.
I would think it would go as long as you don't piss off the general public.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, with Bitchiest Brunch, it's a little different. Now I have to kind of scale back a lot of my jokes because everybody would get picked on, every religion, every racial color, whatever. But the one that would like really get picked on is white people, just because it's the easiest target and it's so funny. But like some things I do have to kind of scale back and think about what I'm going to say first, even though it is the Bitchiest Brunch and some awful things come out of my mouth. I think like if you have to look at it and go, do you think I can get away with this? You might not.
Might not. Okay. And now, Bitchiest Brunch coming up. How do people, they call Oscars to make reservations, and I'm sure you fill up fast, yes?
Yes, we have been selling out extremely quick. Even though we have 2 shows for this Sunday, we do sell out. If you do call in and make a reservation, they will tell you to go to Oscars-Palm-Springs.ticketleap.com. then that is the best way to get your ticket, your seat guaranteed.
Okay, perfect. All right, Anita Rose, you are fabulous. If you haven't seen Anita Rose perform, you got to check it out. Great performer, and just keeping the fun alive in the desert, even in the middle of a pandemic, doing it safely. It's a great idea. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great brunch on Sunday, and make sure you get some rest in between all your performances too. Don't go too crazy.
You're so funny. There is no rest for the wicked. Thank you for having me, baby.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, Anita Rose. Okay, we'll be back with more on the Culture Corner in just a moment.
You're listening to Bonnie Gilgallon and Brayan Mendoza, talking arts and entertainment on iHub Radio's The Culture Corner. Here are Bonnie and Brayan.
Hey, welcome back to the Culture Corner. Real quick, I have to acknowledge Daft Punk, the famous electronic music band. They're going to retire, which is good. Godspeed to them. Have a good retirement. Long, lustrous career. Has made a lot of great music.
I've never heard of them. I'm sorry. I have to admit it.
That's okay. If only I had a song here. Maybe one of these days I'll put on a song and I'll tell you.
This was Daft Punk. Okay.
They had a song called "It's Time to Get Lucky." It's all night to get lucky. Something like that. I can't sing. You're the singer.
Okay. Well, that sounds catchy. Anyway.
Catchy. It's good. But I was going to say, New York theaters are opening up on March 5th.
Movie theaters. I'm concerned about that. But.
There is some concern. Yeah. I definitely have my concerns, but let's get the details.
Okay.
So, according to this, movie theaters can start opening on March 5th. But there's sort of an anticipation that they will not fully reopen until like April 2nd. Some of them, some of the films, some of the movie theaters like Cinema Village and Alpine Theater, because of pipe damage, may not be able to open until April 2nd. But otherwise, everyone else March 5th. And the idea is to run movie theaters at 25% capacity, so 50 people per auditorium.
And they're going to have to space out the seating. They've got to space out the seating, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, let's say me and you went to the movies, we have to sit together, and then another group will sit
5 seats away or whatever.
5 seats away.
Yeah.
And they basically 25% capacity. And as for beverages, I think they're still trying to figure that out, but I think that they're trying to be very careful in putting glass there and not interacting too much with customers and cleaning a lot. And the thing would be that it's complicated because movie theaters have really suffered. And
I get that. But I mean, I'm one of those people that errs on the side of caution with all this. Just concern. I mean, I wonder why more, and I don't know, more theaters haven't gone the outside drive-in route. Some have, but I wonder why more have not.
I have a feeling that in New York, it's the way it's set up, there's not a lot of room to do it. And let's say you do it in Central Park. Everybody wants space in Central Park. Let's say that's the space. Well, first of all, that area is protected. You can't just build a movie theater there. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of major cities, they can't do drive-ins. Yeah. But in this area, we're grateful in the sense that there's so much desert and so much free
We have a
area.
couple. We got the Mary Pickford. There's one I think there's a couple. I can't.
The Air Museum.
Yeah, there's a couple.
And
here.
the mall has one too. I gotta say that drive-in theaters, to me, I'm still airing support for that. I think that people should definitely consider going there.
It's a great idea. If you want to see a movie, you stay in your car, you're distanced away. I think it's great.
And also because during that time, it's much more affordable too, because you're being paid by the car. And I think supporting movie theaters is good. And Mary Pickford also did this thing where, I don't know if they still do it, but I think they might be. But they're doing this thing where people can buy popcorn and drinks and food from them and take it home. You can stay in your car and they'll bring you food and you just pay for it in advance. I think that's a good way of getting money for them, because a lot of movie theaters, the ones that I mentioned in New York, their owner said that it's very difficult to make a profit with 25%. And the fact that
I would imagine, yeah.
And people forget beverages and drinks. That's oxymoron. Beverages and drinks, beverages and popcorn, they cost so much because movie theaters actually make their money off of that rather than the movie ticket. Right. The movie ticket, if anything, $8, they make $1 or even less.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it comes to this, we gotta be careful. And I also feel like there's this petition that came out that was asking Congress save the movie theaters by giving us like a bailout or giving us something. I feel like I would promote that rather than reopening movie theaters.
I would, yeah.
And I think that for the sad thing is that movie theaters will probably get more emphasis as opposed to like the theater itself, because I think the theater in general will have a really difficult time coming back in New York, and Broadway probably will not reopen maybe until fall.
I think fall at the earliest. Yeah. And it's just a really tough situation for everybody. It really is. But and I know everybody's anxious. I want to get going. I want to go back and do live music and inside and eat inside and do this third. And I get that. But you know what? 500,000 plus people dead. I know 2 people personally who died of COVID. I know someone now who didn't die, had it and basically got through it, but still has no sense of taste or smell after
long
a
haulers.
month or so. And and you know what? And the people have long-term effects, symptoms that last for. I mean, do you want to risk that? And you don't know. It's like playing Russian roulette. You got a gun. You got one bullet. And you're going around. Which one is going to shoot you in the head and kill you?
And to some extent, even going to Walmart is a very difficult decision sometimes, because like you have to realize, okay, do I have to go to Walmart?
Yeah, is it necessary? Yeah,
is it necessary?
And you got to wear your mask, wash your hands, do the sanitizer and all that kind of stuff. But there's some things you have to go to the grocery store and get food to eat. You got to eat. But it's just, in some people, and the chances are, let's say you open a movie theater, and let's say 50 people went, and one person got sick. Everybody else was fine. One person got sick. Well, one person got sick and died, or one person got sick and lost their sense of taste or smell for the rest of their lives. Was it worth it?
It's. I wouldn't say it's worth it on that front.
You got to think about those things. You really do.
I think it's about looking past like your desire to escape into the movie theater, and sometimes asking like that one person that was sitting next to you got sick.
Think about your fellow human being, not just about you, not just me. I want. My freedom, my this.
And I think the one thing I will always say about what the pandemic has done to the arts is that the arts is, they're resilient because they'll always be around. But I think that we need to fight for the arts in a more meaningful way, like get money for theaters to stay open, get money for for movie theaters. And I think that we should also try to fight for like community fundraisers. Like there's plenty of fundraisers out there that are set up to help out local actors and local theater companies throughout the country. They're also like Law and Order SVU hiring Broadway actors to show up on their shows. There are practical, safe ways to try to get people not only economically safe, but try to keep them safe physically as well.
And on the other spectrum, we've got a vaccine now. Not everybody's eligible to get it yet. I'm not yet. I can't wait till I can. I'm getting it as soon as I'm eligible. Get the vaccine. Go out. Get the freaking vaccine. Keep doing the masking and social distancing. Get the vaccine so that once we get past it, once we get sort of herd immunity, get control over it, that's when things can really start opening up. So you've got to start that at that end.
It's kind of like you're going to get a treat once you eat your dinner.
Exactly.
And the dinner is making sure that we stay safe.
Vaccine, mask,
summer.
and patience. I know it's hard. It's hard for everybody, but be smart and be safe.
And also, you know what? There's plenty of streaming services. Check them out.
A lot of streaming. Facebook performance is streaming. There's stuff that you can do.
It's not creative. Oh, and one feature I want to say before we exit, you can do group watches on HBO Max, Hulu, and Disney Plus. So if you want to watch your movie with a friend,
you kind of feel like you're
there.
In the theater.
Do it and have fun. Try to have fun with it.
All right, thank you so much, Culture Corner. Thank you, Brian. We'll see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.